want to live, you have to trust me.
Get ready. Now!
You're showing off.
Maybe a little.
Do you all remember how well Dakota did Madame Web? But was the whole movie a vibe or a pass? It seems that the movie has got mixed reviews and it's just really complicated. Recently, Captain Midnight made a video about Madame Web.
Captain Midnight.
And he's just one of many creators who did. Not just from other movie-focused creators, but it's like Madame Web's topic broke out of its usual niche and is now part of everyday talk. Madame Web is a superhero movie about someone who can see the future and sometimes prevent bad things from happening.
Julia, get down!
It's fiction because this movie exists. Madame Web is a disappointing superhero movie, even worse than Morbius. It shows how superhero movies are struggling lately, but also hints at a way for Hollywood to improve.
I can see the future. Oh, what the hell? She didn't see that coming? That's not how it works.
Madame Web, like Morbius, is somewhat connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe that has dominated movies for years. It's linked because it starts with Marvel logo and is based on a character from Marvel's Spider-Man comics. However, Spider-Man has mostly appeared in the MCU movies, but Sony owns the movie rights due to old agreements. Even though a lot of people found the movie interesting, it didn't really help Madame Web's popularity. Its opening weekend had even fewer viewers than Morbius did a few years ago. Morbius also had a lot of online buzz, but that didn't make it a hit at the box office either. We doubt Sony will re-release Madame Web after it leaves theaters, seeing how that strategy didn't work well for Morbius. Madame Web is about a woman named Cassandra Webb who works as an ambulance driver in New York in 2003. Years before, her pregnant mom went to Peru to study rare spiders with unknown powers, possibly healing abilities. But before her mom could understand the spider's powers, a sinister man shot her and took the spider. A strange group in jungle-themed outfits then takes her mom away to a glowing cave, but sadly Cassandra's mom still dies. In the villain's visions, the young women wear Spider-Man-like costumes and show superhero powers. But in the movie, they never actually become superheroes or wear costumes to do superhero things. It's a superhero movie where the supposed heroes never become real heroes. It's like a prequel to an origin story, a setup for a setup. It seems like most people who watch movies didn't like Madame Web much, even when compared to other superhero movies that weren't great. After people left the theater, they gave Madame Web a C+ score, which might not sound terrible at first, but it's important to consider that even big movies like Eternals got a better score. We mention this not because we think cinema scores are the best way to judge a movie's quality. We believe cinema scores aren't great for judging a movie's quality, but they do show if people got what they expected from the trailers. Madame Web had a misleading marketing campaign, showing superhero stuff that wasn't in the movie. This left many feeling cheated, like with the movie Kangaroo Jack, where the kangaroo didn't talk as expected. But we are not just here to talk about Madame Web's bad reception. We're here to discuss how Sony's live-action movies in 2024 might actually be harming the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We know some of you think that MCU is already struggling with their recent projects, and that's fair. But let's also consider what Marvel is planning this year and beyond. Disney CEO Bob Iger and others have said they believe the MCU is releasing too many projects, flooding the market. They think it's time to slow down a bit, and 2024 is supposed to be that year of settling down. When it comes to movies, there is not much planned except for Deadpool 3. There are still things like Echo and Agatha on Disney Plus this year. Deadpool 3 seems like a smart movie for Marvel, but if it's a hit, it could win back a lot of fans. Marvel is trying to avoid overwhelming audiences with too many movies, creating a "how could I miss you if you never go away" situation. A longer break between MCU movies might make people more excited for them when they do come out. The most important thing is that the next MCU movies are good, but we wouldn't mind a break from them for a bit. Well, it would be a break if Sony didn't do the opposite. They're releasing 3 Spidey-related live-action movies this year: Madame Web, followed by Kraven the Hunter and Venom 3. If these movies are like Madame Web, and we're not saying they will be, it could give the impression that the MCU had a terrible year in 2024. Many people might not realize there's a difference between MCU and Sony's movies, especially if they all seem similar in quality. If you're a big fan who follows all this closely, what we're saying might sound silly, but a lot of casual fans who are a huge part of the MCU's success probably didn't even realize what's going on. Sony and Marvel working together for Spider-Man means we get surprises like Venom in No Way Home and Vulture showing up in Morbius. They slap the Marvel name on everything, and most folks don't care about the business side of movies. To them, it's just more Marvel stuff to enjoy. So while die-hard fans might notice the MCU taking a break, many others might not even notice they're gone. Sony has always wanted to connect closely with the MCU to create some confusion among audiences, and it seems to be working. Even actors and the media sometimes get mixed up. Actors like Dakota Johnson and Matt Smith talked about speaking with MCU stars before joining movies like Madam Web and Morbius. Even though those movies aren't part of the official MCU, entertainment shows like Entertainment Tonight even asked Sydney Sweeney about her experience in the MCU, and she answered as if she was part of it. It's just speculation, but you might wonder if Dakota Johnson firing her agents after the Madam Web trailer had something to do with feeling misled. We're not blaming these actors. They don't have to keep track of these details. Gwyneth Paltrow, who played Pepper Potts, didn't even realize she was in a Spider-Man movie. If they can't keep tracks, who can? Most people don't see the difference either. We're not here to gripe for the MCU. We just find it interesting and a bit funny that their plans to slow down are being disrupted by Sony's big moves right as superhero movies are slowing down. If Kraven and Venom 3 flop, the MCU should work harder to clarify the difference for fans. Maybe have Kevin Feige or actors mention it in interviews, but who knows if they're allowed due to complicated studio contracts. The Venom cameo in No Way Home makes things tricky, and it's unclear how it'll play out. Right now, trying closely with Sony's Spider-Man universe seems like a misstep for Marvel, given the public trouble Sony is facing. Disney probably isn't thrilled about this, but Spider-Man is Spider-Man, so these cameos were probably seen as worth it at that time. The thing is, focusing on movies like Madam Web, Morbius, and even Venom Let There Be Carnage to a lesser extent for a Spider-Man villain's universe without Spider-Man isn't a great idea. Venom is a popular pick, so that makes sense, but Morbius, Madam Web, and Kraven, it's a bit strange. It feels like they picked names out of a hat after Venom. They already made a Madam Web movie, which is a terrible idea because it doesn't have any of the core Madam Web characteristics, just weird. It would be okay if Sony gave these characters to creative teams and directors to make something completely new and interesting, which we could respect. Get big name stars, great directors, and let them do their thing, ignoring the source material. These movies feel heavily edited by the studio and changed a lot. For example, replacing all the villains' dialogues with bad dubbing was a disaster, but someone at Sony thought it was necessary. They felt it was important to change the story like this. We're really puzzled about why they made these choices. What we mean is, they should just release the Snyder Cut and move on. But back to the main point. These recent Sony Spider-Man movies, aside from their great animated films, have been a disaster for Marvel. They've caused confusion with the brands, especially now. Even though the MCU has had some bad films lately, they'll have a harder time earning back trust with their audience because of Sony's terribly made Madam Web and Morbius movies. Instead of just being bad, they're really bad. We'll have to wait and see how much this affects things. For many years, people have been asking when superhero movies will fade out and how it will happen. With the failures of big superhero movies last year, Madam Web hints at an answer. When superhero movies become so bad, the genre can't continue as strongly. Of course, superhero movies will still be made. Marvel just announced the cast for the new Fantastic Four movie, but they won't be as big in Hollywood and pop culture. So unintentionally, Madam Web shows a future where superhero movies aren't as important as they used to be. We believe it might be a bigger deal for the MCU than many people realize. What do you think? Do you think Morbius and Madam Web affect how people see the MCU? Have you heard stories from loved ones or friends who couldn't tell the difference? Do share your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. We will meet you in the next one.